All right, it is 6 o'clock, July 9th, and I will call the Tourism Commission to order. Carly, do roll call, please.
Sure. Commissioner Starbarker?
Here.
Commissioner Williams?
Present.
Commissioner Lassinger?
Here.
Commissioner Yoakum Shute?
Here.
Trustee Brocious?
Here. All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, let's go into public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the Tourism Commission on any issue. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes. While the Tourism Commission encourages input from residents, it may not discuss or act on any issue that is not duly noted on the agenda. And please see the public comment instructions at the end of the agenda for questions. No one in here. Is anyone online? All right, then we move on. Item number 1 is approval for the minutes of April 21st, 2026. Tourism Committee. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Get a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. We have a guest speaker. I think you all know Shelby from the Cross Plains Area Chamber of Commerce. She's been in a ton of meetings today. I met with her. She had dinner with Carly. She's had meetings before that. But I think Shelby is going to be a huge asset to what we're trying to accomplish and what we would like to do. So I'm going to give Shelby some time to talk about her thoughts, ideas, and then we can talk about it a little bit after. But if you have something you want to just talk about to start off with, that'd be great. Including just saying, including the mammoth hike.
For your recording, really.
Yeah, it should be fine.
I'll show.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah, so like I said, I met with Bill. Bill that don't know, Carly and I meet on a monthly basis, just going over everything Cross Plains from the chamber aspect, the village aspect, and then with her role as economic development. I also we go back and forth, and we have lovely like 90-minute to 2-hour meetings just about everything going on. So I told both of them too, and I'm always happy to be a resource. I knew this was the Tourism Commission was gonna have to happen, and whenever I started, I've always been happy to answer questions, give insight on what's going on. Know all of you, so you all know that too. And I know like with the Tourism Commission dollars that you have, being able to provide insight or help on things going on that you might want to use it for or save it for. I also have been attending the Town of Middleton's Tourism Commission for the last couple of years, just with our partnership through Trout Days. So I have a little bit of experience there. I'm happy to lend the group, but otherwise the big thing that Bill and I did talk about as far as tourism related things that we have a lot of tourism things that are done for the year with Cross Plains. But as we go into October, that the Mammoth Hike Challenge happens with the Ice Age Trail. So if you're not aware, this is a challenge that they put on every single year. It happens statewide. And the goal is that you sign up for it, totally free. You have to hike 45 miles across the state. And you get different bonus miles for going places, going to different businesses, doing things there. And Cross Plains is the second highest visited community in the entire state. Like, I don't think people know that. Like, that's what people are coming here for. And then just in the month of October, we're experiencing like a 600 to 1,000 person increase in Cross Plains for people coming here to hike. And they know that because you have to take a photo with the mammoth up front and then submit it. I guess that was a part of it last year. So we actually have data showing that people are coming here and like experiencing our trails, experiencing our community. We want people to come back again, like know that they can come back for drop days or other things we have going on. So I think that that's a really big thing that I learned more about it last year and trying to push it within our chamber and try to educate people, and going to try and do it even more so this year. We literally actually just got the invite for the kickoff meeting, which is at the end of the month. So I'll be pushing a lot more information within the chamber to try and get people involved. So our businesses can participate completely free. You just have to do something, have some kind of offer, whether it's like 10% off if you mention that you're here for the Mammoth hike, or you like if you show up you get a free sticker or something. Like you can literally do anything. So I think that's a huge way. It's totally free. It's like a ton of promotion. The chamber did partner with Verona last year to do a sponsored host. They had like some travel Wisconsin influencers that came to different communities throughout the state, highlighted the community, and then maybe like $100 to have the host be sponsored on social media. So there is like, if that would be an entity that you'd like to put money towards, I know that's coming up. And again, it's just something that we're really going to push this year is like cross places and outdoor recreation community. So we really need to highlight all the good things that happened in October here. So that was just something that I shared with Bill today, as it is just so present on my radar right now. But again, always happy to share with things that come up that are already to me and answer any questions you may have. But that's just a little bit of information I have. Otherwise, I can tangent for like 2 hours if you want me to.
So one of the reasons I asked Shelby to actually talk about that is because I think, she was saying like if people go to Crossroads, when they say they're on this hike, Crossroads gives them a 10% discount, and the hikers get extra miles, bonus miles, and other organizations, other companies can do that. But I got thinking we could do that as a village. And wouldn't it be cool, especially next year after we get the new village hall built, is to have some sort of swag, whether that be a button, a pin, a patch, a sticker, something where they have to come to the village and pick up their swag and get points or whatever, but it showcases a village, it showcases our new village hall. I just think that would be awesome. That was 600 to 1,000 people that come here just to hike that we never really knew about. And how many other things are out there that are like that. So I was just fascinated by that. That's why I asked her to talk about it. But any questions for Shelby or what? How do you think so Shelby and I even talked today, and I kind of threw out some ideas of where she might be helpful, useful as a resource. But do you guys have any other thoughts of how we can use the chamber with this committee?
I guess, I will answer your question with another question to Shelby. I would like to understand, like, what role does the chamber play in advertising and really, the advertising for different events that are happening? That's one thing that I don't quite understand. It sounds like you play a role in the Mammoth Hike Challenge, but, and I know that you were very involved in Trout Days, but just, can you help me understand on a broader scale what what you do throughout the rest of the year to really advertise and bring people in from an outdoor perspective?
Yeah. So it's funny you asked that. That's actually been something that I've kind of brought up, I'd say within the last 6 months, as like the chamber has grown and like kind of shifted our trajectories. So I just started my 3rd year in the role. I feel more comfortable now pursuing that as a greater entity. So previously, like the advertisement of chamber members was like, if you have an event or you have something going on, like add us as your Facebook event so we can partner so it can show on Facebook. We used to have it on our events page for our website. And then would like share it to our email list. Which that's kind of intangible items, I felt like. They're easy like boxes to check, but I was just actually telling Carly, so we're having our events page of our website revamped. I don't know if any of you, would you be so kind as to pull up the Mazo one that I showed you?
Mhm.
It's just like the Mazo Chamber page. So we are now going to have our events page of the chamber website have there's kind of like a calendar. We want to have a page that is a list of all the events, the annualized events that are gonna happen in Cross Plains. I think it was just their homepage.
Oh, it's just their homepage, okay. There it is.
So this is kind of what I want. This is what I'm kind of thinking of, that we would like our, but like instead of just a picture, like the whole page would be the listing of all of our events. And then my goal with this is that, so it'd be like any chamber member that has an event, so like, I have a list of all the mostly annualized events of the year. And then it would be hyperlinked to, like what it is, so like the Optimist fishing event. So like they'd have it on there and then it'd be linked to it, so you could go to their page, the listing, whatever it may be. But this is something then that's really easy to update with just different dates. So this is kind of where I'm taking your question, not answering it well, but this is where we're going with it. I actually have the website planning meeting tomorrow. So then we're gonna do that, and then our chamber page will still have like individual pages for the big chamber-based events, so like the wine walk. The Trout Days one will link to the Trout Days or like the website itself. Chicken Barbecue will have its own page, things like that. But then each of the events on there will then link to whether it's like a Facebook event that they have, etc. But I want that to just be a living page that we have that we'll just update with the dates. If there's something else that needs to be added, then it's easy to just like toss in a line. So that's kind of answering your question. That's kind of how like we have a lot more kind of promotion of events kind of moving forward than just the standard.
Awesome, that's really helpful, and that looks like it would be incredibly useful and purposeful for what we're trying to accomplish here, just creating awareness around the different events that are happening. What resources might you be lacking in order to make this happen or maintain this on an annual basis? If any.
I don't think so I just came across this, they posted it, gosh, I wanna say maybe a couple of months ago. And this is what I've been thinking of. I never could like put it into words to describe how I want it to be shown. So I think the chamber website should be the hub for where all the events, all the things that are happening that are the standardized events. And then there's like one-off events that businesses are gonna have as things are happening and whatever they do. But I'm still not sure how we can better advertise those. And that's where, I don't know if this is the group to answer that, or if anyone has like, from a marketing perspective, how we can better off put that out there, whether it's like just from a chamber perspective or like a village perspective. I mean, obviously Facebook events are great. We can put things on websites, but I'm not really sure, what that could look like. And so I'm super open to that and happy to have other ideas if people have thoughts what that could look like.
So is your goal then, like, just visualizing this, it seems like it would be something like Explore Cross Plains or something like that, so. Like, very much mission aligned with what we're tasked with doing and advertising for various events, so is there, like. In order to do those one-off events, like, would you need a certain amount do you have an advertising budget for the chamber that? You would need additional funds for in order to be able to continue and build on this website on an annual basis?
That's a good question. So with our website designer, our contract requires that we use. Oh, I'm trying to think. I believe it's at minimum 10 hours per quarter that we have to utilize her to update the website, etc. So I just give her things that we need done, pages that we need made. So we changed it this year where we added different pages for different events, which was well above our 10 hours. And then we just are billed for it. So that'd be a good question. Well, probably for our budget committee. as we look at the cost that kind of was associated with it this year. But with that, a lot of it, she does make it very user friendly, but like I can go in and update it, so like it's not gonna, it's costing me extra for me to go do it. The biggest, I would say, issue we've run into the past is not getting information for things, or getting it like super last minute. So that's been, I think, a struggle in the past, is that it's kind of a last minute throw at, and we're hoping to have an advertised thing. So that's kind of been a struggle. And I would like there to be a better place for, like, so Bill and I were talking about that, like, when we have events, I have like 14 places around town that like I tag up flyers. And I still have people that say, oh, I never saw a flyer for that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how can we change that? Because I know it's not just me, that other people have events and things going on and no one's seeing it. So between like Facebook and websites and flyers out there, we're still missing people. And the more important question is, like, we're missing people outside of Cross Plains. And I want to be able to advertise to them more. So we do have a new like rep for like the Buyer's Guide, Milton Times Tribune. Her name is Hannah Decker, and I met with her. She's delightful, and she actually came to our open board meeting a few weeks ago. Just trying to learn more and be able to help promote more Cross Plains. So I think that's going to be a great avenue to explore, is more newspaper-based things, which I have found out is still very alive and well. So whether it's the newspaper, whether it's doing social media marketing, yeah, I'm really kind of trying to explore that a little better, because I think we are missing people that we shouldn't be. Especially when you're looking at the surrounding areas, not just the village of Cross Plains.
I want to jump back to the event calendar. Harley, do you think
Yes.
that, and don't commit, they're just thinking out loud. If the chamber created a page with the events, would we be able to link it from our website to theirs?
Yes, we absolutely could.
Because I don't want to do double work. I don't want
No,
to reinvent.
I
the
think
wheel.
we could link it. Even Shelby and I were talking too a little bit about like the village calendar, for instance, that we have on our website. Maybe if there's some way, then we can put in, we always have Light Up Cross Plains. We always have the Easter egg hunt. There are events that are continually happening every year that maybe we could just have on that calendar too.
Sure.
Village events. But I think linking it is definitely doable.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
I have evidence missing.
Yes.
A total like tangent tidbit of information. I don't know, and I your tourism question is very new. But like the Travel Wisconsin economic information is phenomenal. That's where I really leaned into for like the last 6 to 9 months. Just to like understand a little bit more about how we can economically develop Cross Plains and like what tourism can look like for different businesses. So there's like a ton of information out there if you ever go perusing through. We did just get the economic impact numbers for 2025 released a few weeks ago. So you can find the report on there. I'm happy to send it all to you too. But they have like a slideshow of it. They then have like marketing information you can use. So there's a ton on there that, as kind of like your committee gets going and is thinking of different trajectories, that can be really, really helpful for like obviously what's tried and true. So you're not having to reinvent the wheel. But they have tons of fantastic information on the Travel Wisconsin too. I know Bill's gonna reach out to them. So
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to them.
tidbit that I forgot to mention.
Yep.
Is the chamber currently advertising through Travel Wisconsin? Because I have that on a note here too. I mean, they just had a big banquet at the governor's mansion, not banquet, but an award ceremony for outdoor recreation and various partnerships, and how you can really, and I know they've done a lot of economic impact recently, those studies. So I'm just curious what I know they have a ton of resources, but is the village advertising through them, or is the chamber advertising through them?
No, but I would like to be.
Do you know if do you need money in order to be able to do that? Or is it like just a matter of capacity? Or are there other barriers to being able to advertise this?
It's a great question. Let me answer that in a month. I really started digging into the Travel Wisconsin stuff a lot of recent. Like I know they sent out something yesterday, to like submit your events and submit you have like big things going on, which I did submit last year and Trot Days did not get picked and never heard back on it. But I'm gonna submit it again because it's really cool, it's really big and it's growing. So that is an avenue that, I mean, we have not like advertised or marketed through it. We've just done the Driftless magazine. So that's, I think, the next step as we're seeking to like grow cross plans. You have 12,000 cars coming through here every day. And it's not just people from right here, like, you know, people are traveling long distances, so I'm happy to, I would like to explore more what that would look like. With, yes, the thin budget or non-existent budget, but I still think there's a lot that can be done in that sphere.
Other questions or thoughts or comments for Shelby?
I'm just gonna make a comment, so, you said October was the busiest month, actually for us at Airbnb was last year the busiest month, which is surprisingly October and then December, obviously for holidays, people coming. But what I'm thinking too, this calendar would be very helpful. I could also leave an Airbnb for people to know what's going on. Because we do get repeated clients or repeated, guests back. So I mean, it would be nice for them to know what's going on, because like if I'm traveling somewhere and I don't necessarily know that I need to go to the chamber website, and that's where I'm gonna find the events, but having it at Airbnb. I mean, I'm also planning on going to some businesses here and maybe putting some coupons in, my folder where we have like this folder with the Airbnb stuff, like free coffee on us or whatever it is. Or free baked goods, just to get people to go more and explore Cross Plains.
So it's funny you say that, I'm gonna kind of take it in tangent, so having like a cross plans guide, is something that's been on our radar for at least a couple of years now. I looked into having it done my first year here. We've absolutely no budget for it. I know it was in like the thousands of dollars to have them made and printed. And we don't have the thing, we didn't have the budget for it at all at the time. But I think that's something that kind of could be more relevant now. So there's like the Driftless guide that comes out. And we're part of it, and there's things in there, and that's I don't know if she would just pay for it or like. But yeah, I have to disperse them next week, so if you don't want to know it, I have to go disperse 250 of them next week. Yeah. But like that's huge, but I would like something that's smaller and isn't just capped by 1 year. That we could like have an Airbnb and like keep it businesses. That's really just about cross planes. So like if you're sitting in the waiting room of the doctor's office, there's a cross planes guide that you can sit and look at. If you, are like standing here in line, there's a cross planes guide. So that's something that we have talked about and the conversation kind of went away, but it's something that I would like to revisit now that we have so many new people in town who don't know, who haven't lived here for 30 years and don't know, everything that's here. As we've had new businesses, just really getting a stronger identity as a community. Yeah, that's something that is, I think would be a fantastic addition, like a guide or something that you can have that shows you. I mean, you go anywhere and tour it, like they always have those. So I think that'd be a fantastic addition. If that's something that this group wants to pursue or coming towards, ideas towards, I'm super here to hear all your thoughts. I would love it.
And just, as the Marchstone subdivision bases get completed, we're gonna end up with another 1,000+ people here in the village within a short period of time, like a couple of years. So, it'd be nice to have something like that for them,
One other thing I was thinking of too is with our new village hall, we're gonna have like a nice lobby area. So we'll like have an area for brochures and things like that. And it's gonna kind of function as a trailhead too, with like external bathrooms and like a pavilion and things like that. So that might be kind of a place where visitors, might want to come and see what kind of resources or events are happening in the area too.
I'm gonna have that kiosk on the outside, right?
Kiosk on the outside,
Is there a place to put, do you think there'd be a place to put some advertising there?
there's gonna be at least a bulletin board because we have to have our notices. So
Yeah.
we're trying to figure out what that's gonna look like, but we're thinking on the inside, like definitely have, you know, some little like plastic things to put brochures and things like that in for folks that walk in or
Right.
walk through the lobby. But yeah, definitely open to suggestions. I mean, there'll also be the kiosk, which will be part of the kind of trailhead thing.
Right,
And that I think will have a little bit more, because we'll have like maps of like the village, and then like all of the trails that we have throughout the village. So there'll also be space to put in some like, you know, flyers for
Okay.
something that's happening for, I don't know, trout days, whenever we end up putting things up for that. So there'll be multiple opportunities, but I think, yeah, utilizing the new space will be helpful too.
great. Other comments, thoughts? Then we will move on to item number 3. Thank you, Shelby, appreciate that.
thanks.
Stick around though.
Yeah, I don't see you packing up.
So the next item is, item number 3, discussion regarding the administration of tourist funds. So, kind of a point of procedure here, I want to talk about the agenda. You'll see one of two things. You'll see discussion, or you'll see discussion, possible action. And we actually see that in line item 5. Not that we have to have an action, but we can make an action on that line item. For this discussion, item number 3, item number 4, we're not making any actions tonight for that. It's just for discussion. Does that kind of make sense? Okay. Cool. So with that, I wanted to talk about the administration of the tourist funds. And what I was thinking of for this particular line item is, what are your thoughts on using the funds? I have some thoughts, but I mean, do we want to, for example, do we want to give them to an organization with the stipulation that they have to use it for marketing, or they got to use it for something based on tourism? Do we want to do that for them? So let's say, just use trout please. You know, do we want to do advertising on our own for the organization for trout days? Or are there other options on how to administer the funds to an organization that needs them? So I just kind of want to open this up and see what you guys think about that. If you have any thoughts, any ideas, on where we should go with this, because we're really laying the foundation for the future. For the future of this committee. So I'm just gonna open it up. What do you guys think?
I need to say something, so. I would say right now, what I'm seeing from the full-time job and the venue and everything is social media, like Instagram, Facebook, it's 100%, that's what works in this day and age. So I feel like it would be probably beneficial if, let's say, somebody decides to have an event and just give them the money to spend on the marketing expenses, like show it on Facebook and Instagram and social media. It's not cheap to do that. So it depends, like you can choose, and I don't know how familiar you are with the social media, but you can choose who you're targeting, which zip code, what age people, how many clicks do you want to accomplish, and the price depends on that. So I had a paint night at the venue, so I did heavy advertising like all around Middleton, Verona, Mazomanie. And there was a lot of clicks, but we had about 25 people sign up. So it takes a lot to get people out, that's what I'm saying. I have another event that I'm planning in the fall, so more like for families to come out and maybe bringing a food truck, having some things for kids. I have again the painter coming out of California. He was amazing. Like everyone who attended the event, they were like, "Oh my God, this was one of the best events we had." So I want to create more of that, and I'm sure other businesses do too. I saw Crystal is having some dinner night. So I feel like the money could go for advertising because it is not cheap.
What I was thinking is, as far as what you had mentioned, I don't want us to do it. I would rather have, and kind of like what we discussed at the last meeting too, is they do the application and they say what they need the money for and how much money they expect to need. And then we can, as a committee, gather them and say, like, hey, this, we approve this and we approve that one, whatever, we can get this much, we can't get that much. And we're more or less like, the organization needs to come to us for the application. And then Shelby, you said something about like Travel Wisconsin and how you had submitted application for travel days. I'm not sure what specifically you were talking about, but kind of same thing, right? Like you had to submit the application and then the money gets allocated. And I feel like what we left off last time was like, when's the cutoff, right? Like when do you have to apply for the funds, and then when do we review all the applications, and how do we know how much money we're working with, and all of that, but I definitely don't think we should be doing it, because we don't know people's business.
Yeah.
You know, like, I know who wants to come to Bethel, I know who's attracted to my event planning company, you know, Airbnb stuff versus your event stuff, like, it's, Lions people, like, who's gonna come to trout days, or share with like real estate stuff, like, like, everybody knows their own niche, and we all have our own niche, and we are not the ones that dictate like where that money goes to. Yeah, you can tell us what you need it for, but that's the extent of, I feel like we should have the authority to do.
And I did include, there's like 5 different applications in the packet from different communities. Everybody does it a little bit differently. So I think it might be helpful to, I don't know if that's where we want to go tonight, Bill, but to look at those and kind of see how much detail you want to go in. Like some even have, like after the event, you have to like prove that you really did bring people to the area before you get your payment. Things like, or like you get a portion of it at the start and then you get a second portion, like, so there's all different ways we can go about this, but we don't have to reinvent the wheel, so.
Did anyone have a chance to look at those? I know Carly just sent one today, but
Yeah.
did you? So I thought it was excellent. It's such a wide variety
Yeah.
of what other communities are doing.
Mhm.
And as I'm looking at that, going, we have a facility that is contributing to.
Some of these have tons,
It have-
like Lake Geneva, I'm just thinking of as the first one.
Lake Geneva.
I wonder how many they have Airbnbs or.
Right,
hotels.
Airbnbs and hotels
Yeah.
and anything that will, generate revenue for them. So, we're not nearly.
No. Some of this is very aspirational, but I mean, when we do have a ton of Airbnbs and a hotel,
Right,
then
but I think,
we are ready.
I think there's. And I'll talk about my feelings later, but I think there's good aspects of some I like to see and other aspects of others I like to see, but not get too complicated and too bogged down, We're a small community,
Right.
we don't need to bury somebody more.
We're not talking about large amounts of money.
We
that
are
can
not.
Contribute, we
Yeah.
have
No.
what, $800?
right now, actually, I think we have 1,400.
Okay, but
So,
is that like?
yeah,
so
right
it's a
now.
Big, okay, but for like last year, when we started this discussion, less than 1,000,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
So and they're
I think we're
advertising for.
1,100, I think we're at 1,100, now we're
Okay.
at 1,400.
I remember it not being a lot.
It's not a lot.
One of those communities showed like $178,000 in their balance, and we're no.
No. Everybody's got to start somewhere.
I'm just thinking advertising for some of these events, whether it's a business doing it or the Lions or any of the things that Shelby would be listing on the website. Advertising for any of those would be more than what we have in our budget. So I think whatever, I agree with Crystal, we are not the ones doing the advertising, but whatever we can do to amplify the message and help resource organizations that are advertising, I think will make that money go further. And so that's why I was asking all the questions to Shelby of like, what resources would you need for the project, for the event website and stuff like that, like if we can use like and that's not gonna go very far. You certainly wouldn't get very far with $1,100 and creating brochures, but it counts. So I guess from my perspective, I think that we need to, like, we're very much in the building phases and figuring out how we're gonna function, but I think if we can amplify the work that the chamber is doing and pushing out events, that would be really useful. If the village needs anything from an event to support events, like if the Trout Days isn't the only event that we have now, there will be more events. But if there are like supply needs, like a one-time purchase type thing that you would need to make in order to be set up to be able to support events. From a village perspective, I think that could be a reasonable use just from a building perspective, but beyond that. I do think the applications all had something very useful that could be melded together that we could like get to the point where we're awarding $50 or $100 or whatever advertising stipends or grants to different organizations, whether they're nonprofits or businesses. I did notice the applications, some of them had they had eligibility criteria, and I think that would be really important for us as well. Some included businesses, but others just included like nonprofits and local municipalities, and I think that would be really important as we work through that. But honestly, right now with the money we have, I don't know that we eventually we take the time to develop an application, but at this point, maybe it's more effective for us to designate that funding for advertising that's already happening, where there might be a lack of sufficient resources. But then there's also a reporting structure that we need to have, so we have to report back to the village on an annual basis of how the funds are spent, and so I think we'd have to build that reporting structure into the application process, and I did appreciate, like, I don't think we need a ton of proof that the event actually happened and how many people it drew in. We wanna know, give us your receipt, how much did you spend, what was your ad, like, very simple event, post-event information. Cause we aren't all gonna have the capacity to review a ton of information anyways. Sorry, I spoke too long, but those are my thoughts.
Other thoughts?
I just want to add that I agree with both Crystal and Lisa, and I think that's a great idea. Is to at least have the application process and have people come to us and say, like, I'm just totally thinking of the optimist, you know, we just did our Father's Day fishing and we had a oratorical contest. We've had things that, you know, we do fundraisers as a club throughout the year, but like I said, it's kind of nice to, you know, maybe have something help us. You know, because fishing poles are like $700 and it's like, whoa, you know, I mean, you just get the bill and those are going up every year. So they said, I think that'd be a great way to use some of these funds, you know, and then because it brings people in, you know, like from the other communities and stuff like Black Earth and Mazo, we had some kids come and join us from those areas. So, but again, the social media was the big way, you know, to advertise that. We actually got flyers up right before school ended. So we got those out to schools and stuff, which again, that's luckily Century 21 donates most of those. But again, you know, I mean, would have been a really nice, you know, just to get a little something to help with. So,
Anything else before I jump in? Cool, all right, so Here's my thoughts. I think I really like the idea of having an application, simple, a really simple application. And the one that I really like is the Reedsburg application. It is super simple. It's should be around page 32-ish or so.
Thanks, Bob. What is this one? Nope,
One more, no, I think it's 4 mil.
32. Oh, here we go.
There it is, yeah.
This is
So-
Pittsburgh.
You know, and this is, and the reason I think we need this, and we don't even need all the questions, we don't need to have them fill out all this. But I think a simple form that we can evaluate, look at, I think would be important, because once word gets out that there's money to be had, there's gonna be organizations that are gonna ask for that. And, I have a very kind heart and I would give everybody whatever we could, but I think we need to do this in a process and look at the future of this committee. To make sure that we're kind of, at least have a foundation put in place. So, you know, keeping this super simple and I can come up with an idea and bring it to the next meeting of what I'm thinking of, but I mean, the first 10 lines would probably be all we would need. And then there was another one, I don't remember which municipality it was, that had a after event type questionnaire that was, again, very simple. It was towards the end of somewhere.
Okay.
That would, I don't know if it'd be required. I like your idea, Lisa. That maybe we do require that, as a matter of transparency for the village board. But again, I want to keep it really, really simple. And I don't want to discourage anyone from asking for money, but I don't, but I think there's got to be a process in place for them to be able to ask for it. That's, I'll kind of pause there for a second. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree, I think a simple application would be good. I think, one of the first applications had a simple chart on it for basically reconciling or tracking receipts and stuff, and I think that's all the reporting. It's
Yeah.
something very simple with receipts attached. But I also think that the Reedsburg application, I didn't see that it had eligibility criteria or those reporting requirements, and I think it's really important that the application include those. So we're upfront about what's gonna be required if they get whatever the funds are.
So what kind of eligibility, just off the top of your head, are you thinking?
I'm thinking, those events, either businesses, nonprofits, or local municipal, or the local, which would be the village at this point, who are hosting community-wide events that are with the intent of drawing in people from outside of the village would be eligible, for whatever the funding is. I also think because of the amounts that we're dealing with, if we're not doing something like giving the chamber, funding the chamber advertising, if we are gonna go to the point of individual applications, I think we need to come up with a standard amount that we would award, probably based on the anticipated event size. So at $1,400, we're probably not looking at more than $100 or $200 per application. But an event that's anticipated to bring 1,000 people, or 3,000 people over the course of a weekend, probably would be eligible for a larger grant amount than an event that would be bringing in the 100 or 200, which isn't necessarily a tourism thing, but we have events here that are 100 to 200 people events that are advertising. That's why, I love the idea of an application, but because of the amount of funds we have available, I just don't know how impactful we can be with small advertising grants if the chamber were advertising those events and could give the chamber an extra $1,100 a year for their event website to be able to push
Sure.
those events out, or their social media or what have. So
Sure.
it's a one-stop shop for exploring events and cross planes.
So like, going back to our Mammoth Hike challenge that we talked about earlier. You know, if we did some sort of swag, not this year, because we have this place, but next year when we have a nicer place and we'll want people to visit. You know, maybe $200 or $300 for swag for that event might be useful. Bring in, I mean, it's gonna be bringing people from outside of Cross Plains. It may or may not bring in more people, but at least it's a way of advertising and giving, you know, the village doesn't have to pay for that up front. That's something we can support. I really like that, I think. It's just shocking to me. But I also like your idea of having a range, and do we have a minimum, do we have a maximum? You know, based on only having one Airbnb in the village right now. You know, we're really limited on what we can and can't do, right? So, you know, having that range might be something we kind of talk about and for future meetings.
My one thought is when you say community wide, what's the definition of community wide?
I think to me, that's probably something that we're not charging, like, not necessarily charging admission to, like a free community event where it's not an invite only, there's not restricted access for people, so we're encouraging people to come in. But then that doesn't get at your painting parties and advertising for your painting parties, so I'm not sure, that's what my thought is, just from a community event perspective in my line of work, that's what that means.
So like, would that be like the concerts over at Sandra Park, that type of event?
Yeah. Yeah, that, Trout Days, Hill and Valley Days, the Optimist Fishing Club, the fishing days.
Sure.
I'm not super familiar with that, but, those are the types of things that come to mind for me.
I just think, I don't think we should like cut the small businesses short, like, for example. You're gonna her painting, like my Luminous Event Planning Company, we're doing our dinner thing, Crossroads does like their night market thing. Even if like small businesses came and said, can I have $50 towards my social media advertising? $50 to take like a good bunch of clicks, and that's really not that much money, but for a small business, that could be a lot. So I don't know if we necessarily should limit it to community-wide events, it could be also that, because. You know, when you bring in these small events, you're bringing in people from outside of our community too, and then also like, oh my gosh, like. They have this beautiful Airbnb, or they have this beautiful pavilion, or, you know, and then they can also get into it, and that allows us also to. Show them what Cross Plains is, we can give them our guides, or to then now with word of mouth, and then sometimes when you have the big event, you also can't get that personal attention either. So I don't know if we should necessarily limit it to like the bigger scale events only. But I do like limitations, like if you're having an event that hosts max 50 people, okay, well, we'll give you, the max will give us $50 for the marketing. If you're doing a community-wide event where you're bringing in 2,000 people, maybe we'll give you more like $400, you know, so you can reach a bigger demographic of people. So I like your idea of limitations, but I don't like the idea of like limiting to just big non-chargeable events.
Do you have like different categories that somebody could apply for? So like social media marketing, you could say like, okay, if you just want to apply, okay, so your event, perfect. If you're like social media marketing your dinner, like then you could apply for $50, and it's like, that's what it's for, is social media marketing. Or if, let's say, you're buying $25 for a newspaper ad, and if you could apply for some kind of specific thing, then it's a very like cut and dry amount. Then someone could choose, like if you decided you wanted to heavily market your dinner in the newspaper and that's what you wanted, then you could do that. Or if you feel like, again, knowing your own business, that you could apply for something that would be appropriate for that, like then okay, I'd say Trout Days probably would not apply for just a $25 one. Maybe Trout Days is like, gosh, we would love to have a social media one and a newspaper one and whatever other categories, you could apply for all of them or just a few. And then it would be to your guys' discretion which ones you would allow them to have.
So what I heard, the two things I heard. Is one, I'll come up for the next meeting, I'll come up with an attempt at a, form for both kind of pre-event and post-event. Try and keep it simple and we can talk about it and add to it, remove from it, all that. The second thing I heard was coming up with a schedule of disbursement. And I agree with Crystal that we need to not just focus on huge events like the Memorial Day, weekend or trout days but even the smaller events I think are worthwhile. And what you said was one of the most important things I've heard today is that our advertising, probably the best advertising that we get is word of mouth. Right? We can do all the social media, newspapers, flyers, all that, but word of mouth is by far probably the best advertisement we have for the village. So we could pay people. Just kidding.
But we also want to get people outside of the
Yeah.
village. That's what tourism is.
Exactly,
So
right.
just getting people, that maybe can't hear the voices, that are happening in the village.
But I'm saying, if you get people like in Spring Green or Maysville or Reedsburg or
Yeah.
Monroe that have come to an event here and they
Okay.
tell their friends, right? That's the
Yeah.
word of mouth I'm talking about.
Gotcha.
Not necessarily the people that already know about it here in the village. Yeah. So getting them in is kind of part A, but having them spread the word out is kind of what I'm thinking about. How do we do both? So other thoughts? Did I kind of capture everything, or are we anything that I missed that we need to kind of talk about?
I think it would be good to figure out if there is some swag that could be helpful for the village to have, or things like Mammoth Hike, or like, and maybe it's not the village, like, isn't the Gateway working on some like, they've got a slogan. I don't know, I don't want us reinventing the wheel, I don't want us trying to do something on our own, I really think it's important to amplify and help to boost what's already happening. I love the idea of swag, I'm just not sure how it would. I don't know what the logistics look like, I don't know what the design looks like, we're not designing it, we're not graphic designers. But I think there could be a lot of benefit in doing.
Well, we got a nice
Yeah.
Cross Plains logo. You put that onto a sticker. That's it, or a pin, there's no designing needed to be done for that, it's already done.
Okay, so you're just thinking a cross plains logo, that's fine, but yeah, I think something like.
That was my initial thought,
Yeah,
you're right, I don't wanna spend a lot of money in design.
Yeah, or maybe there's a pin that you disperse to like a bunch of local businesses and then, they pick it up when they pick up their coffee and they put it on their backpack. And then they're like, oh, where'd you get that? Oh, we gotta go to Cross Plains to get that.
Yeah,
The other thought too is if we do swag something like that, and then Shelby, maybe because you're more in touch about other communities and everything, like. I feel like Montfort, don't they do like a passport adventure or something like that, where maybe we could get linked up with other communities where the swag tells them to go to the village of Cross Plains. And then they have to go there to get the swag, like the sticker to like check off their passport, what other communities are doing, like cross community type things. And then once they're there, pick up the swag, our guidebook is there and it talks about like the flyers from our businesses. It's something that will help direct people to the new village hall to pick up their swag, to, you know, complete their passport, or whatever other communities are doing as incentives to visit other local communities. And then now they're lured in, and then now you have your eyes on what the other stuff. So if we did put money towards swag, so stickers and stuff like that, it could bring people here to then now find the resource.
Yeah,
That's a good
does
idea.
Ice Age do something like that already or not yet?
Not really, but that's actually something, I can totally bring that up. So we have kind of the Middleton Chamber make it up. Like an invite to all the chambers in the area, and it's like directors, presidents, all those kinds of things. And it is the beginning of next month. And I could totally bring that up for especially the ones that I know are really involved in the Ice Age Trail stuff. I know like Verona's really involved, so we could totally do kind of something within in October, like within the Mammoth Hike Challenge. We could certainly partner with the ones that are in the area and engaged that would want to do something extra for like, okay, if you go to Verona, you go to Cross Plains, etc.
Yeah.
But I could totally see, kind of like, I know the people from Verona really well too, that we could totally see if we want to partner with us and do a little bit extra for just moving our places around here.
Or even like Lodi too, I think, aren't they a trail community?
What's that?
Lodi?
Yes.
Yeah, or just other communities around the area.
Yeah, totally. I can reach out, because I have, I mean, all the contact for those folks too, so I'm happy to reach out and see if they wanna explore something together, in addition. And yeah, so we have the kickoff for the Mammoth Hike is Friday, the 31st. And it's typically just kind of an information-based meeting, so I would happily reach out to those folks beforehand, before we get all the information for the Mammoth Hike stuff, and then could bring it back to this group too.
Anything else? We don't have another meeting at 7 o'clock, do you? Here tonight?
Nope, not
Oh,
tonight.
Just wanna
We
make
talk
sure,
as long as we want.
just wanna make sure we're
Not just not too long. We do have to go to bed at some point.
All right, so let's go to, and we've been talking about this, let's go to item number 4, discussion regarding future policy and procedures for the tourism. We started kind of talking about that, and the same time we were talking about administration of the tourist funds. Is there anything that we missed or that we wanna bring up tonight? I know as we talk, it's gonna jog some things. I mean, that's what happened when Shelby and I talked earlier today. She kept talking to me and I kept stopping her and saying, wait a minute, what about this? And so that happens to me. But this is something maybe, you know, if we don't have anything else, we can kind of keep this on as a living line item, you know, for future meetings as well, especially if we're still in the genesis of this committee.
I think it's fine to keep it on. I think the two conversations melded together because it's kind of hard to
They
tell.
really
the difference
did, didn't
Between
they?
the two.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I think we probably just need to keep one of them on. But probably number 4.
I think we can keep number 4 on there
Mhm.
going forward. Excellent. All right. Discussion of number 5, discussion of possible action items for the next meeting. I've already got at least one. Does anyone want to take a stab at coming up with a schedule of payments?
What exactly?
So that would be like the social media.
No,
The
like, you know, if you're, you know, kind of what we talked about earlier, like if your event is. You know, from, you know, this size, you know, we'd give you $200 or $250. If it's this size, we'll give you $500 or. Whatever, you know, that type of schedule for events, just as a starting point.
To be honest, I think you should start with, this is my opinion, the categories. I really like what Shelby said, because if you're coming to a commission like asking for, excuse me, for money.
Yep.
You know what type of marketing you want to do.
Right.
And if we have it kind of cut and dry, like, you want social media money, like, this is your, you know, check this box, and if it's for 1 to 50 people, like, well, we'll supply $50. If it's for 1 or 50 to 200 people, we'll supply $100. These are arbitrary numbers, like I'm just saying. Or, you know, if you plan on doing it in the newspaper, like this is how much we will do for a newspaper ad. So that way people can kind of also, while they're filling out the application, before they even fill out the application, they kind of get an idea of like, oh, this is what they're looking for, like this is what they're willing to do. Or we could also have like a miscellaneous, like, are you looking for sway, you know, and like, and then we have to do budget for that. I like the category idea personally, instead of saying it per person, what you're expecting to bring in.
Okay.
I think the person, like the range of attendees is maybe a better indicator of the advertising that's required for the event. And so to me, that's more relevant than the type of advertising that's happening. I don't think I want to be splitting hairs between social media. I think it makes sense, it could make sense, but like, given where we are, I just think if somebody's bringing in 50 or fewer compared to 50 to 100 or like 1,000 or 3,000, I think there's a big difference between what the reach needs to be with that advertising dollar. So I think the schedule should be based on anticipated attendance.
Bringing people in from outside the village.
Yeah, that's the goal of tourism.
Right.
Because the people that are here, like you reach them with local tour, like with your, if it's a business, you should be planning for your advertising money to reach the local residents.
Right.
But we're trying to draw people in from outside of the village. And so like just posting something locally isn't gonna help. You need to do something on a broader scale.
Right.
That's why the event attendance is more, I think, to me, more relevant, but that's just my opinion, I'm not sure.
My other thought is like, if you do a newspaper ad, you're gonna reach like, let's say we take an ad on you times review. If my event's 50 and your event's 5,000, it's gonna cost the same price. Right, versus, and then even if you do like a social media, like when you boost it. It's based off of like number of clicks, based off of number of like the radius and like the demographics of stuff, not necessarily like how many people you're gonna touch, it's not a guaranteed number. That's why I was thinking like category wise, but under the category, if you do select, I wanna do social media and I'm expecting 5,000 people, then we could give you, like I said, like $300. So it's like you have your top line, like category, and then you also have your subcategory of like how many people attendance underneath it. Because like I said, if we're both advertising in the paper, it's not gonna cost less what you get for your ad, but we don't have to necessarily like give money for the whole ad. But that's my only thought on why the categories is coming. And also, if you're doing 5,000 people, then you're gonna want to do newspaper and social media, so you put both boxes, whereas like at 50, you would either want to do one or the other. So the answer is no, nobody wants to take it.
One thing you'll find out about me is, I am really good with silence. I will let silence linger for a very long time, because in my experience, people are thinking, you know, about one thing or another, and I just want to give them time to think, so I'm. You know, if I'm not talking for 4 minutes, that's why. Because I want you guys to have time to think about something. And this is a really good discussion, excellent discussion. Sherry, you guys have any thoughts?
Only state of mind in the health app.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Siri. That's probably what we said, Sherry.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. I'm kind of just taking this all in, and like I said, I very agree with both of you guys, and it's gonna be, I guess, depend on, you know, the form that Bill comes up with, and you said, I like the categories, and the event attendant, if we could just somehow get that together. I would also kind of like, again, you know, like just like my example again, the fishing game. You know, it's hard to know how many people are gonna show up, like, so we do get kids like from Maysville, Black Earth, whatever, which is great. But like our requests would probably be more like offset our, you know, money that we put into the event. So we get a category like that, maybe, cause I said we do the social media, and Shelby's been great, you know, about putting that out. We do the what's happening in Cross Plains, we do moms and dads in Cross Plains. So we try and hit all of the, you know, the social media. I mean, I don't actually go in and boost a post because I'm not on Facebook. That great on Facebook, but that would be a good way to, you know, like said, you know, you need to try that. But, you know, again, just for example, we had 50 kids show up, we gave them, poles, bait, they got prizes for, you know, different things, and that event is probably one of our most, you know, expensive ones, I guess, but it's all free, you know, kids come in. It was great, Terry's donated waters and donuts for us, so I mean, it's like we kind of get, and that's kind of what our fundraising is during, but like I said, it would be great to get like $50 or $100 or something like that, just to kind of offset the event and stuff, but I'm just thinking more on the, you know, like not advertising, but on the social, you know, the replacement of the cost. That would be an option.
Does the Optimist Club pay for advertising right now for the event?
The only thing we paid for, well, we didn't pay for it, because like I said, we made flyers at our office. And so we made like print about 500 flyers, which probably would have been a cost, you know, like we would have went to FedEx or something like that, but Bronze was pretty generous. He's also a club member, so that's his donation to the cause, so we made, you know, like just handouts or whatever. And we do try to get something in the paper. They've been really good about just doing kind of like an announcement, so we don't have to pay for it. You know, because it's just every little bit helps. But again, you know, we could, if we had the funds available, maybe we could, you know, do or find a way to do a little bit more. We put up flyers around town too. But like you said, sometimes people don't see them, whatever. But the biggest thing was getting it out to the schools. So that was nice that they let us, you know, get one to every family, to the local schools.
A thought I have as far as like 3 different categories, it would be interesting to do like different categories of different like set options for the first year to see what kind of requests you get. And then you could change or amend those, you know, onward. If people are only coming for social media funds, well, then you guys can have a better idea as to like what kind of offers or how you could change it. Or if you have all across the board, then you can kind of better tailor what you're doing. But I think there's just so many different kinds of events, so many different kinds of businesses, and their needs are so varied that it would be interesting to see what you guys would get for like, let's say the first year, what kind of requests, whether it's just like the $50 would go a long way. Okay, for another event that needs 500 flyers, this is like a Mike Wrestler, and would like $25 to print off enough flyers and put them around, that could be huge. So it'd be interesting to see, yeah, just what different kinds of events, if they know that this is a quick, easy, like $25, you know, like sponsorship they could get from you or whatever the reimbursement they could get from you, that would seem like a pretty low barrier to entry, versus having to do a whole application, you know, for what could be hundreds of dollars and stage their flyers covered. So it might be more inviting.
What I've been looking for while you guys were talking, I was listening, is, are we obligated by state statute to have a period of time where we need to spend money that's in our tourism coffer? Can we keep it in there for a year? Can we keep it in there for 2 years? Or 3 years? I don't know the answer to that. I will look that up.
I have the statute up. So I was
Like,
just looking at it.
Like you name it. Well,
It's 66.0615. Is the state statute.
what is it?
It is 66.
Yeah,
0.0615.
yeah,
And then it's the section. It starts like section sub E is all about tourism and the tourism entity, tourism commission, tourism promotion, and all of the room tax stuff. This is the whole thing is the room tax section. So I'll keep looking. If you guys want to keep
Oh,
talking, I can see if I can get
It's
there.
just, that we don't need to answer that question tonight, but that's something that we talk about. You know, handing out this money to different organizations or groups or whatever the case might be, that we make sure we're not. There's a double negative, that we're not following state statutes. Or that we are following state statutes correctly, so, I just want to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in harm's way, or putting the village in harm's way by. Let's say holding on to money for a period of time, waiting for the perfect idea, perfect reason to, disperse that money. I just want to find that out because.
So I just found it, I think.
Oh, you did?
So there isn't a statutory deadline in the statute that says it has to be spent within the same fiscal year. So it can generally carry forward. The municipality can carry it forward from year to year, provided that they're remaining dedicated to eligible purchases.
Okay,
So it can continue to compound.
Does the state statute define eligible expenses? Because I think that's something we would want
It
to
does.
address on our form and our eligibility requirement.
Yep, it does. And it does have social media is listed in here. I was just looking at it actually earlier here. So any of the following that are significantly used by transient tourists and reasonably likely to generate paid overnight stays at more than one establishment. Marketing projects, including advertising, media buys, creation and distribution of printed or electronic promotional tourist materials, or efforts to recruit conventions, sporting events, or motor coach groups. Transient tourist informational services, tangible municipal development, including like a convention center. That's how those
We
generally
need
get
to-
funded. Yeah, we need one of those. Us and our $14,000 or $1,400. So that's kind of what they have on here generally. It's not. They don't get too in the weeds.
Okay, yeah, I definitely think it's important for us to define that eligibility criteria on our application.
And I can include just kind of a link to this section in the statutes too, just to kind of always maybe have that in the packet so people remember what the definition is. Okay, happy to do that.
As far as logistics, I also thought it was really helpful that one of the, I don't remember if I mentioned this earlier, one of the agendas that was included in here as an example. There's just like the balance at the end of the agenda, and I thought that was super helpful.
Yeah.
Kind of like we don't do a treasurer's report because we're basically a legislative body, but it would be helpful for us to know the funds that we have remaining or available each time we're meeting.
Yeah, and I always jot it down here, but I can
I
include
actually
it.
thought of that before, as I walked in tonight going. Well, I actually thought about earlier today, I forgot to ask Bobby what the balance was.
It's okay, I already did.
But I think Lisa's got a great point, we should have that in our agenda.
In the packet each, or in the,
Or at least in the packet.
yeah, so I can always have, the state statute and then the about room tax balance as of, whatever date.
Yeah, I think that'd be helpful.
And then I just want to go back to a question I asked earlier towards Shelby. You're working on that event website. Does the chamber have sufficient funds to cover getting that website stood up, or would additional funds be useful to you? Because it seems like you're advertising a lot of events, and also my question, so I'll let you answer that, and then I want to understand what type of events you're advertising.
So as far as our website edits, that falls under our budget, that we have budgeted just for, like, again, with our contract with her, we have a budget for that, so as far as like the editing of our website pages to reflect that, that's covered in what we have going on.
Okay.
Now I'll ask the next question.
I know, like, you mentioned the Mammoth Hike, I know that you advertise, or you would advertise for Trout Days because you were a partner in organizing that. Does an organization or a business need to be a member of the chamber in order for you to have an event on the website?
To my understanding, yes, that is one of the perks of being a member is that we then, so like for example, Chris, like, well, everyone, you sent me your flyers for their dinner, and so as chamber members, always said, I mean, I think it's scheduled to go out tomorrow morning, is like an email to our email list about the event that they're having. And that's a, member really perk that we do hold.
Okay, and then, so the website's one thing, you also mentioned social media posts. So, you have a social media site, right? Would you need additional funds in order to be able to boost events more through social media to have a broader impact? Because the chamber may have a broader impact than an individual organization who's doing one event. Something like that. I'm just curiosity questions.
Yeah, that's true. So we don't boost any of our posts on social media at all. That is a very interesting point though, looking at just the carry of our posts that we can have. And that's something that, and Carly and I were actually just talking about this earlier, that having a really strong like social media guidelines for how we post like events, members pages, etc. And that's something I've heard with a lot of different chambers about too. Is like how you best utilize social media for your members, in what you're sharing or how you're sharing it, the posts, etc. Because something that I've always said is like if someone's hosting an event, add us as a co-host on the event so that it shows up on our page. And then we've kind of gone now into like if you're having something, you need to tag us in it so that I can see it, because we're not going to organically see 80 different businesses things, that we have to be tagged in it so that I can share it. Which has been so. I mean, it's very seldom that I think it's very seldom people are going to think to tag us in things. And I can only organically see so many things, and I can't sit on Facebook all day. I'm a 20-hour week employee. So that's been one that I think has really gone back and forth. So we haven't paid to boost things before. And then just events that we've been tagged in. That we will share when we see them. But the best way that I found, now that we have really rebuilt our email marketing list, that it was totally overrunning garbage a couple of years ago. So I started over from scratch. I think it was like 2 years, it was a year in. So now I'm at 2 years and I totally rebuilt our chamber email list that now we're over 800. Now that's a really useful event. You know, I've actually been like able to send things out and know that our members are getting outreach on there, compared to Facebook where it's so fickle. So I feel better about putting it on there, and that's a free thing that we don't need to boost it or anything. That's just that, we pay for that every year. But so if something is wanting to be done as far as like utilizing like boosting posts or boosting events on our page, I think that's really something we can explore. We don't have a budget for that. We don't have a budget for social media. But I think that's really something that could be explored, whether it's like matching funds or something like that.
Is there anything else you want to bring up tonight, we want to talk about? Then let's go to our last item and talk about our next meeting. When do you guys want to meet next?
I think we should definitely, try and get a meeting in prior to the Mammoth Hike. If they need something
Sure.
this year from us. I don't know, I saw somewhere that, we're kind of maybe gonna be quarterly, which I think would be, fine also, but like I said, that's just fine, because I know that's coming up in October.
I don't think we came up with a schedule. I think we
Okay.
kind of talked about might be more seasonal, I mean,
Yeah, and I think a little more frequently now at the beginning
At
while
the
we're getting
beginning,
everything
right,
set up.
right. I mean, I'm willing to meet towards the end of August, beginning of September. Kind of right before the school year, if that works for you guys.
My August is ridiculously crazy. Mine, I don't, like, I can't do August, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I will be traveling internationally almost the whole month in August.
Well, then we won't do that. What about September?
Okay.
When are you back?
Before the school starts, so like August 27, 20.
So the 28th, I'm just kidding.
And then it's Labor Day
Then
weekend
it's Labor Day weekend, right?
on the 7th. So you could do like the 10th or 17th.
Well,
Jinx.
are we, I don't wanna get in conflict with another meeting, so are Thursday nights good for you guys?
Yes.
Yeah, we were good. The reason we weren't good last time is because we did a Wednesday. Thursdays, we don't have other meetings.
Oh, perfect, okay.
So Thursdays are really good for this room.
So does September 10th look like?
Shelby, when does the marathon start?
October.
October 1.
Yep.
What was that?
October 1st is when the Mammoth Hike starts.
Oh, okay.
So 2 weeks from,
Like 3 weeks out, yeah.
oh, 3,
I
yeah.
can't do the 10th. That's like the start of
How about
football
the
season,
17th?
so I think I can do that unless there's a JV game that night, my son's playing. So I think, tentatively, I'll get a bonus.
On the 17th?
17th.
Yeah, it works better for me. I'm trying to put an event together for the fall.
Okay. Perfect. Then let's plan on the 17th at 6 o'clock.
Sure.
You guys good? Alrighty. I'm not gonna take a vote on that. We just. I will take is there any items for next meeting that we wanna talk about?
Well, I was gonna say, so I mean, being that it's the 17th, so as you guys were talking, I typed an email to Amy Ward, who is the outreach coordinator for the Ice Age Trail. And just kind of said that you guys wanted to do something, or wanted to have a little more, and just asked if she could meet with me sometime in the next couple of weeks, so I can have something together and I can send it to all then well beforehand, so that we can certainly do something. So even
That'd
though
be great.
this next group meeting won't be until then of September, I'll certainly have something before then, because I'll want to bring something to the chamber board too, since they're also wanting to do things. So I'll have something coming soon.
Alrighty. Shelby, you're invited to that meeting as well.
I won't give you your own agenda item though.
That's fine. I do plan to be at all of them, just so you all and don't be surprised that, so I plan to be at all of
That'd
them
be great.
here and now.
Alright, perfect.
You said, as far as action items or items for the next meeting,
Yep.
I would like to understand if the chamber has any advertising expenses or tourism type expenses that they would need covered. I'd also like to understand if the village has any that could be like one-time expenses or anything like that, that they don't have sufficient funding for now, that additional funds could be helpful for them. Just because I think that that's a way for us to amplify these things that are already happening. But I would like additional discussion.
Can you do me a favor? Well, I'm not gonna say do me a favor. Can you meet with Shelby before the September 17th, kind of one-on-one with her, do lunch or do dinner or whatever? And have that conversation and bring that back?
Sure, I can do that.
That'd be
I'll
great,
figure out how I can do that.
if you can, find some time.
I have a problem with that.
Great. If nothing else, I will take a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed the same, we are adjourned. Thank you all, appreciate it.
Thank you.